Hey, what is going on, guys? How are you
Hola.
guys doing? It is Friday, so you already know what that means. It's another episode of Millennial with Billy and Mel. So hopefully, you guys are having a good Friday. But yeah, we're here and we're super excited because today we get to talk about my favorite subject in the world,
Oh, you hate it.
Valentine's Day. It's here, guys. It's upon us. And so we decided to do a special episode of the Millennial talking about all types of Valentine's Day topics. So we're going to cover it all. We're going to cover love, relationships, social media. We're going to cover a little bit of everything today.
Yeah.
But, anyways, guys, before we get into all of that, what is going on, Mel? How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I had a great, very productive week. Really got some, I call them revelations with some work and personal things and some things that I want to do for my podcast. I was struggling with the Monday's Mindful, I think, because sometimes I don't have content or like an idea for Monday and then I don't do it. So I was talking about consistency and trying to get back is one of my goals, but I decided that I think I'm just going to do it spontaneously. Like that was the whole point, was if I have this thought throughout the week, because I don't want to be like tied down to Monday, because I have these great things happening on Wednesday or Thursday. And then by the time it rolls back around, so I think I'm just going to do it a little bit more spontaneous. And I also had done, speaking of love and sending love, I did a little Valentine's card collection for the nursing homes.
Oh, wow.
Look, two local nursing homes. That one that my sister is. So I actually had relaunched my Etsy store for everybody. I've been talking about it. It looks fantastic. I'm so excited. I finally just stopped talking and started doing, and I made these like heart throbs. And if you follow me on Instagram or my Made to Keep page, they are like 90s boy bands, and like like sold a couple of these. I'll hold them up again because you were looking. So they were like 98 Degrees and
Oh, no.
In sync,
I
and
love it.
I had a pack of 10, and then I sold some individually. But I ended up putting like these old board games like Dream Phone and Guess Who and Sorry and Perfect Match and Don't Wake Daddy. It was just really funny to be creative again and kind of make some new little cards. So I'm super excited about that, and selling some Etsy orders just really got that momentum that I needed. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, it
How about
sounded.
you?
Yeah, it's been an awesome week. Just kind of low key, just getting some stuff done and some projects and stuff like that. I was really looking forward to the weekend. The Eagles are in the Super Bowl, so we're looking forward to that.
Yes.
To give you an update on 75 hard, we haven't missed a day. I
Perfect.
am officially down like 10 pounds since the
Wow,
beginning
good
of the
job.
of the year. So we're really excited. Megan's doing a really good job too, and so it's just been
Great.
fun. Megan's first official week of working at home is complete.
Oh,
So yeah, so she's upstairs. She has her own
we'll have to
office.
we'll have to see how that's going for Valentine's Day.
It's been good. We've separated work from the house. So
Yeah.
and it's worked out well. We get to eat lunch together. That's kind of cool,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's been a great week. It's like I said, nothing really crazy to report, but sometimes no news is good news. So,
Yeah. Yes,
so
as long as it's not bad stuff, right? Like I had
yes.
a really like bad week last week or the week before, and I just feel like I was talking to a couple of people about some things where like, one day is really great and then the next day something happens and we're like, so it's like this up and down roller coaster sometimes. But yeah, having a great week and have some fun stuff planned for the weekend. So yeah,
Nice. I love it. I
good.
love it. So let's get into it. Right, we're talking about our favorite, or my favorite holiday. Mel hates this holiday, guys. I don't
Billy's
know if you
being
know
facetious here. Okay.
that. Yeah, let's talk about Valentine's Day, and we have some topics that we definitely want to cover. But and we all know my opinion on it. But for those that have never seen us before, I'll let Mel talk about her overall opinion of Valentine's Day before we get into a couple of these topics.
Yeah, I mean, I it was actually funny. I looked up the history on it. I mean, personally, because I had started a greeting card business. Obviously Valentine's Day is the biggest card sending besides Mother's
Is it?
Day. It is
I
Mother's.
would I would think Christmas would be up.
I
That's
mean,
gotta be
I
that's
think
probably top 3.
Christmas cards, I would say, I guess, because it's like the family stuff, yeah, but Christmas, but like love, giving cards. I wouldn't say even sending, I would say giving, but I know a little bit on like how Hallmark, I think it was like the early 1900s that they coined the Valentine's Day as a, mass produced card, just for cards and obviously. But Yeah, I mean, I love, just being in, just like the feeling and romance. I'm just like a, hopeless romantic. So I do love the concept. I don't love the crowds and like going out. I think over the years it's when you're in a relationship, it's like, what are we gonna do? The places are packed, you can't get a reservation, and it's like on Valentine's Day, it's insane. And then now it's like the weekends and stuff. So Kind of got into just doing stuff at home, but I don't know, I'm single. I don't have I was actually asked like three, like, will you be my Valentine by like three people. Yeah,
What?
it's just really cute because I've never really even like been asked. Like, it was just stuff because I was posting about my Valentine's Day cards. So I don't know if it was serious or not. I don't know if it was for real, but no, I do not have a Valentine yet. But we'll
Still
see.
time.
There's still some time.
There's still some time.
Maybe.
So obviously, I love love. Like, I'll say that
Yes.
I'm in that same boat as well, and I love, especially spending time with Megan and doing special things with her and stuff like that. Um, but going back to just the commercialized part of, that there's so much pressure put on this day to like show your undying love to somebody, and I'm in the firm believer that you should be doing that every day.
Absolutely.
you know
Absolutely.
but I feel like there's a lot of pressure put on us by the powers that be,
Right.
the companies, the hallmarks of the world, right, to buy stuff that like Valentine's Day is like that holiday you buy stuff for somebody that they really necessarily don't need. It's just more so
Right.
like junk.
Or
um
like the chocolates, like they're like, I mean, most of them are crappy. They're not the best like candies and chocolates
that's why
unless
you
you're
should
getting.
support your local candy shops and go
Yes.
get local chocolate.
Yeah, yeah,
uh
absolutely. So much
um
better fresh.
yes, especially you're up in the Hershey area, so you
Oh
got all
yeah. We have
the
a
good
ton of
chocolate.
like, yeah, we have a ton. And I think like what you just, it kind of sparked me when you said, when we were saying about, I used to love in grade school buying and giving the little valentines that you got in the box and you folded them up, and they were like the cutesy, like it was, it's a car and it's like, you're driving me crazy, or you're driving me in love or whatever. Like these little folded ones, and you could get your little and you get little valentines from everybody.
I remember in elementary school, you had your desk, right? You had your
Yeah,
individual desk,
and
and you
your
had like a little,
tubs.
you had like, we had like a little makeshift, like it was cardboard, like the little thing that people could put their cards and stuff in, and
Right.
that's what I remember
Yeah, I love
is
that. I
you
thought it was
know,
so
and
cool.
and uh and just sitting there and just reading these little cards that had like like those dumb little messages. You're like,
I
you're driving
know.
me crazy, right? Or it's like, what are your favorite cartoon characters, or one of those things along those lines. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I get it. I get why it's here. It's a good money maker for a
I
lot
think
of
I think
businesses.
that if we could promote it to be like a day of, like it is a day of love, but not making it so much about just romantic love, like with your significant other,
It should be
but
like
for
family
everybody.
love,
Like that's
friend
why,
love,
and
like
that's why we want to do the the cards for the nursing homes, because a lot of them don't have, a significant other, and or they're in their, obviously in a nursing home or independent living, that they might not be able to get out and go, celebrate with their loved ones, or they might not have visitors. So I just thought it was nice to be able to give them something back, to have all different, a Valentine card, from us. So there's a group of us that are going to be signing them and dropping them off. And I just
that's
think
awesome.
it's just, if we like encourage spreading love more, and just doing good things, I think That would,
Yeah, doing like random acts of kindness for
yeah,
people, right? That would be
right.
really cool to do on Valentine's Day. I totally
Yeah,
agree. But another question that came up, right? Because I think everybody's different, and like obviously the date, for a lot of people, like going on a date on Valentine's Day is a
yeah.
big thing. So what is Mel's like ideal date? Like where if like
Oh,
it where
lordy.
like especially for somebody that's like you said, you don't have a Valentine yet, so like
Oh, yeah. Who's
you
listening?
can drop
Take
some hints.
notes. I don't know. I mean, it's actually funny. That's a good question because, like, you can kind of go out and have, a drink or cocktail and dinner anytime. So it's actually interesting because I wonder, for a lot of people, they don't really get that time with their actual significant other. That it is a treat to go out.
Yeah, that's
Sometimes
true.
I do that. A lot. I think even in relationships, or I can do that, but I think it probably wouldn't be just dinner or something because that's just I do that. You can go on a date anytime. I don't know. I think wow, I haven't thought about this. I don't know. I like activities. I like things that you can do that um, you're kind of hanging out, but it is an activity that you're doing, like maybe create something. I saw something that was like an art thing recently where you could go and like make a piece of art together. I thought that was really neat, but yeah, I don't know. I had to think about it.
There
I'm
you
gonna
go.
give away my creative, my
I,
ideas, and then next thing you know,
that boom, right? Then
bam.
someone's
I
taking
wonder where
you.
you got that idea.
um,
What do you
I,
think?
I like me. I've always, I'm a big food person, so I do like supporting local restaurants, but it's like craziness on Valentine's Day, and so like one of the things that me and Megan have done a lot is like we'll we'll cook for each other, right?
Right. Oh, that's
We'll
great.
and have a home cooked meal. Now it's different. Like we'll get like higher end stuff. Maybe
Hmm.
she really likes salmon and
Or
shrimp
like a
and
new
like
dish, maybe like new
yeah. Or
recipe.
I thought that would be really fun to like try out a new dish or
Yeah.
recipe, like you were saying. Um, my mom said it's not a treat to go out with Glenn.
Oh, it's not a treat.
Poor Glenn.
Um,
But yeah,
I like that. I did that one year was, hey, what was like something that, normally would take a while to, prepare and make and something from scratch. And did that with my ex-husband a couple times because we didn't want to go out. So that was yeah, I like that. I think, like just something that's unique, maybe something that like somebody put some effort into and like just a little bit of a creative. I mean, I know it's like cold and stuff, but I was thinking about, like the idea of a bottle of wine or like getting some food or something and going like picnics, just like that being able to have conversation and just kind of make it about I know it's not an activity, but like kind of, just have that time where there's not much going else around you, just kind of have your own space and um yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it. And speaking about pressure, right? And I mean, obviously, as millennials, we live in a digital world, social media, all that type of stuff. So I think we should explore the impact on how social media puts pressure on us to have that perfect, because like if you'll see it, we'll see a million reels, we'll see a
Hmm.
million Instagram posts about the perfect Valentine's Day like gift and the perfect this and perfect that. So do you think that social media is probably a culprit to that?
Yeah, I do think it is. And I also think it's a way that people use to show off things. It's not just for Valentine's. Sometimes like they put their gifts up there if they get jewelry or, I think it's nice that people want to show it off and like show off that their husband, got them something. But I think it's not, it doesn't need to always be shown, when there's like, that exchange of things. But you're right. There's going to be flowers and, people at dinner and like, over the top ways that people are out and kind of showing this love, but I don't think that it needs to be like you don't need to show it off, I guess. Like that's where sometimes I think it's a little just for the show, just for the gram, just for the picture.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like I went out a couple times recently, like, oh shoot, I didn't, I wanted to take a picture. I did this, and I haven't even posted on Instagram for like 2 weeks maybe. And I usually just post some pictures and stuff that I'm doing, but I'm like really been present in the moment when I'm out, like with the people that I'm out with, and I just totally forget to take pictures. Which is not, I'm not really a huge, you know, per, picture taker or poster. Sometimes I just, do a story, but yeah, I do feel that people are looking at all that and like 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 getting a bag, like I don't know what typical gifts are other than jewelry or like a bag or different things that um that girls want, but I think sometimes um it becomes more materialistic than it should be.
Yeah, and that goes back to what our original discussion was. Is just like you're saying, like being more in the moment, being more like not more, less material and stuff like that. And for me, like I don't think it does it to me, but I could see where it could be a problem for maybe couples that aren't really um, established couples yet that have been together for a really long time, because it could even seem like like, oh well, I did something for my significant other and I thought it was really special and I took the time to do it and put all this effort in, and then they're showing me something on Instagram and they're like, well, look what so and so did
Right,
for.
comparing. Yeah, or
Yeah.
she got the yeah, like she did this, or wow, the rose petals everywhere and the candles and like all this. And then yeah, like it makes you maybe feel bad that you thought you went and went out of your way to do that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it takes I don't know. I guess I think it's like authentic and from the heart, and then you're just showing that, or is it that you just are doing it over the top because you want to show it. Like what's
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
Like
it's like you get those, like when you get those pictures that are more like candid pictures, like, oh my god, look what I got, or something like that. I can get down with, but it's those pictures that are like professionally, like they took time, they made sure the
stage
lighting was
them.
the
And you know that
lighting was
there's
right.
20 taken and then they use like, this take so many for the right shot and
I mean, how many pictures are we going to see on? Is it Tuesdays?
yes,
Technically,
Tuesday.
how many pictures? How many proposals do you think just
Yes.
in just in Pennsylvania? Right now, I'm not even counting the rest of the world, but there's going to be so many of the. I always it's the picture where they like have their hand up in front, and it's just like they're trying to not say they're engaged, but they are, like, oh look,
Right.
like the ring's
I
right there.
posted a picture one time at my nail salon, and I usually do like something like this where I'm like, oh, like because it's called twinkle nails. So if I have like glitter and I'm like this, and I wear like a ring or two here. One time it was like it was here, and it had like it's like a fake diamond, obviously, but one of my girlfriends texted me and was like, "Oh my god, I thought you were posting that you were engaged." Because I had like you could like when you could quick look at it, it looked like it was a diamond on
Of
it.
course.
And I was like, engaged. I was like, I'm not even dating anybody, let alone engaged. And it was funny. Like, yeah, I mean, I think that it's gonna be, a way, yeah, people people that get engaged. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think if it's, deep down, I think, the people that, do the things that are authentic, I guess I don't, there's things that I don't feel, you have to share, but I guess that people are excited that they want to, as long as it's for the right reasons. But look
Yeah,
at what so many people share
on a daily
so much
basis.
other stuff that they don't need to be doing. But
Yeah, it's social media. We've had discussions about that plenty of times before, and it's a double edged sword. It's it's great when it's working well, but when it's not, it's not. But especially when it comes to relationships, it can. I just think about people that are in those, even long-term relationships, it can definitely be a hindrance too, but like especially I feel like in the early stages, like because we express love in so many different ways. Like for me, for instance, like I'm like acts of service, like so like cleaning up the house or like doing laundry or mowing the, like those are things that I'm like, oh, I'm taking care of something, right? And that's where like like the whole social media can get blown out of proportion, because like if that's not the way you express love, like, you know, it's going to be hard, right? It's going to be hard to like, it's hard not to compare yourself to other people, but
Yeah, I mean, talk about just like when people post about their significant other or their friend, like there were times where, on your birthday, people post pictures of you guys and say happy birthday, give you a shout out, like, tag you. And then some people don't get that, some people get a lot of it and then some people don't. And it's like you see that and you're like, oh wow, that's really nice that people are doing that for them, but no one, maybe they might feel bad or their significant other like that gives these shout outs, like I love my wife and look what she's doing and all this. And then you see then your significant other's not doing that and you kind of like that comparison. So I absolutely think that you have to stay away from that because I know that different people express love in different ways. And like you just said, that is the love languages. So speaking of love, one of my favorite books too. And I think that that's something that if it is in an initial stage of relationships, or even if you're struggling right now, a lot of the times is because you're not being fulfilled on your love languages.
yeah,
And after you've been together for years, I mean, even 10, 20 years, like some people still don't even know what their significant other's love languages are because they just didn't know or they didn't talk about it in like these breakdowns of communication and breakdowns of love because somebody is saying, you didn't do this and you didn't do that. And it's more like, I just miss you and I want to sit on the couch and have time with you, and they're just like fighting about stuff. There's a lot of examples in that book, but I think that would be a great suggestion for Valentine's Day is to get the love languages book, read it and do the quiz at the back. And then, maybe your significant other doesn't even need or want gifts, or maybe they do. So when you're not giving the gifts, they're feeling disappointed. Not that we should, have to give gifts, but it is a lot. It is one of the love languages that people like to receive things. So it could just be a handmade um, gift, but you're right. Like, I think understanding those is a huge thing right now. And I know I think I've kind of tried to talk about it early on so that because I genuinely think you should be doing all of them for each other. But you can get your love languages. I think even we've talked about this about giving are different than yours to receive. So
hmm,
like I like to do gifts and like little things, but I don't need my gifts is zero. Like I like them, sure, but I don't need that to feel loved at all. And it actually, a lot of it goes down to like how we were loved as children, um, and how we weren't loved, and those are the things that we need to fill our love tanks. So that
yeah.
would be a great Valentine's Day thing.
Well, that's one of the
Working on
biggest.
your relationship.
Yeah, that I mean, that's one of the biggest things. I think love languages can not only just be used in a love situation between husband wife, or boyfriend girlfriend, or along those lines. I think love languages is even imperative when it comes to friendships, and
Oh, it is. Yeah.
different interactions. Because like you were saying, like I know for me, the way I show love is acts of service, right? But like the way I receive love is words of affirmation, right? Like, and just having that, that verbal, whatever you want to call it, right, come across. It makes me feel good, right? And so,
Right.
um, yeah, 100%. I feel like most people's relationship problems come. I mean, it's it's well known, right? It's all down to communication. How we're effectively communicating with each other, and
Absolutely. I think
often,
communication is number one
yeah,
for
and
sure.
often or not, it can fix relationships by improving your communication.
Right.
A relationship that might have been on the rocks, right? And by improving your communication, you can definitely do that. I mean,
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, and just communicating about the love, those things that kind of feel or, that is lacking or that's missing. And even, um, just learning about each other. I mean, I think the communication part is huge. I know we're talking about like different like dating, initial dating and meeting people, and then obviously still in relationships, because I have been in long-term relationships. Obviously, I'm not, but I think one of the things that is so awesome, especially right now in the age of dating, is communication and just like learning about each other. Obviously, I'm doing so much work, self work and growth and improvement and digging deep, like getting to know myself. And I think that I wouldn't be able to, I think, really be compatible with someone who's not doing that as well. And then like
100%.
and
Yeah.
really like having conversations about those things. And one of the things that I said that I crave is like really deep connections and like understanding. And I think that I want to be understood. Everyone wants to be understood. Everyone wants to be heard and all that, and seen. But I think that ultimately one of the things is like this deep connection, like really sick. I say it's like deep seated, like really sick. I go, but I think that the only way that you can really do that is spending a lot of time really getting to know someone by talking, and not jumping right into something and spending, asking a lot of questions and talking about things that you're going through. Um, it's almost like while it's happening for you, you're kind of, discussing those things, and hearing about the other person and like their ups and downs and their history and their past and their childhood. I mean, all of that super interesting. Never asked that with men in my past. Never thought about asking about their childhood, about how they were, how their parents, their relationship with their mom, their relationship with their dad, you know.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, even just like on the podcast that I'm listening to right now, it's like bullying, like people who were bullied. Like there's so much that goes into who we are today because of things that happened when we were young. And to not even know why people are the way they are, or like to get really in their heads, like that's where I'm at. Is And that's all about communication, like being open and being vulnerable. And a lot of people aren't, they're afraid to talk about a lot of that stuff. So when you find somebody that's willing to really share all of that, really get to know somebody, um, I think that's special.
I think 100%. I love that, and that's one of the things that we've really focused on. Me and Megan is having real communication. The beginning of this year, like that's why we are doing 75 hard. Like we're
Hmm.
on our walks, we're having conversations, and they're not always like the conversations, but we're not on our phones. We're not in front of a
Right.
TV. We're not like running around crazy because we got biz. We're doing things and whatnot. It's just like a moment to slow down. And I think, if anything that you're going to do, if you really want to impact your relationship on Valentine's Day, instead of maybe hustle and bustle and getting out of work because it's on a weekday, right? And you're rushing home and you got to put the kids up and all these things and get to the restaurant. And now you feel you're rushed there. And, maybe you only have an hour to eat because they need that table in the next hour, right?
All right. They're rushing you.
They're rushing
Do
you.
you need anything? Here's your check.
Yeah,
Get out.
and all these things that you're being rushed to get home and just feel tired, right? And like, what
Right.
did you really do? You spent some money and you ate some food, right? But like maybe going on maybe a Valentine's Day walk, right, with your
Right.
spouse, because it's supposed to be pretty. It's not supposed to be like super cold that day, right? But you could go take a
Right.
walk. There's plenty of trails in Pennsylvania that you can go walk on and just have a conversation, and maybe
Yeah.
take the turkey sandwich with you
A
guys,
turkey sandwich. I was
right?
gonna say like a coffee or, you
But like
know.
like take a
Oh,
like a
that's
little
good.
like a packed lunch or a packed dinner, right? And you
Right.
just have a conversation, um, because I
Yeah.
think I think that the art of just conversing with other people and
Right.
actively listening, um, not a lot of people do it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, like what even, um, are there almost like like I don't want to say ruts, but like you kind of get like into a place where you're almost complacent. Like, what even is the idea of going out on Valentine's Day for this dinner? Like, what is the goal? Like, what is even like the things that you talk about? I mean, I guess every relationship is different, and like for people that go out, but like you know, is it talking about things that you want to do, like your goals coming up, like hey, I want to do this, or how's with work and things that are going on that like are, what is the goal, I guess, in a sense of, that dinner. Because at the beginning you're getting to know people. So it's actually like, so it's more exciting because you're like, in that phase of you have a lot to talk about because you have a lot to get caught up on and to really know somebody. So I think when you're in a long-term relationship, it's like sometimes it's a struggle to find, that stuff to talk about unless there's some new things going on.
Yeah, and I think it's even harder for people to connect when you're, because we are on this podcast, we talk about different generations, right? And I can't even imagine what type of conversations the generation younger than us is having.
Oh
Um,
boy, yeah.
just because I feel like, at the age that we are, that 30 to 40 range, right? A lot of life perspective we get, and so things change, and our desires and our wants and our needs change, and so it's 100%. Like, I don't want to lessen this point by saying this, but obviously, like, you have to be attracted to somebody physically, right? It is what it is. Okay.
Yes.
um but that attraction, I feel like, to somebody gets so much more dialed in when you start to learn about that person, you start
Right.
to like
And
that
the
person,
connection and the
and the connection,
chemistry. Absolutely.
that initial connection is really powerful, and I don't want to push that away, but that connection gets even more powerful, more deeper, by the conversations that you have with that person. So
Absolutely.
it's interesting to think about. Like, I would like to, like, I would like to just, like, watch a full video on, like, two Gen Zers having a date, right?
Yeah.
Like, that would be interesting to watch, to
On
see
their
what they
phone.
talk about.
Uh,
Yes.
I was like on their phone, and I think we do a good job. I feel like for the most part, in our, most of the people that I know is like not being on our phone. But I was just actually talking about that last night with a group about being present, not being on your phone the whole time. And I think the boomers a lot are like, oh, you millennials and all this stuff. And I'm like, I have seen more 60-year-olds out on their phones because they're bored, they're just not present, and you're like bored. And that's the other thing about what I was saying about the Valentine's dinner, the intention of the Valentine's dinner. And like, when you're not wanting to go out and talk about stressful things, like it shouldn't be it shouldn't be something where it's talking about the kids, the baseball practice, and all this stuff that's like the normal mundane stuff. Like I would hope that people would go out and like celebrate, people that are together for a while at least, um, really, really make it about them and their romance and their, relationship and things that, they really love about each other instead of just like the stressful, day to day stuff that um, that they're going through.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just interesting to see how different generations just approach love. Um, you know, it, like I said, the younger generation, but even the older generation, it's just.
Well, do you think it's like cynic? I mean, okay, well, here's a question about the younger generation because obviously we were young, like we were 20s
And
too.
I'm just thinking about that. I'm
And
thinking about, like, the dates that I went on as a young guy,
yeah,
right? Like,
like
in my
is it
20s, right? Like, I don't remember much it was just like, hey,
right? Like
let's just go grab something to eat, right?
mature
Like,
conversations about absolutely, that's what I'm saying. Like we've gone through these experiences, some of us that, especially if we're like, dating again after divorce or like, after breakups or that you're single. We've gone through either heartbreak or, things that we've been in and out of serious relationships. And when you're young, you haven't really been in and out of those relationships to learn about yourself. I mean, I'm just still learning about myself at 38 years old right now, who I am, and getting to be the person that I'm really truly meant to be. Who the hell I was at in my 20s, and then you think
you,
though that in your 50s and 60s, especially whether you're in a relationship and you're not fulfilled, a lot of people that have stayed together that maybe, weren't really, got married young and had kids and they stayed for the kids and they're kind of just more complacent. And or people that are single, that did get divorced and they're older, have they given up on love? Like, are they
mm,
just, so it's like it's that thing of going from the phases. in our ages where we don't really know what even love is. We think we do. We think we know what's a mature relationship and what trust or communication is and all that. We don't even really like know ourselves. How are we supposed to know somebody else? And then we get
Well,
into the 30s and 40s, whether we're coming at like had that experience or not, and then you're in your 50s and 60s and you're like, eh, forget it. I don't know.
I think from what I'm hearing you say, and you kind of said it a bunch of times just throughout this podcast, but obviously a lot of the growth that you're doing and stuff like that. And I think it's super important for people to understand what's about to come out of my mouth. Um, how important is self love in a
Right.
relationship? Like
Absolutely.
loving yourself
I just
first.
I just posted yesterday or the day before. It said dating tip, date yourself or something. It was like, like the best dating tip like is to date yourself. Absolutely. Fall
Yeah,
in love
like
with yourself.
the 20, I would not have dated the 22-year-old version of myself. Like I'm just thinking about it.
I was running around like a, crazy woman.
Probably not very intelligent conversations back then with
Date
me.
yourself. And or like, why are you interested in somebody? We didn't know back then. Oh, they were hot or they looked good or they were, athletic and they had a good job and they had money. Like, I don't think it was really for the right reasons in a sense too when you're dating at a younger age. And I think your mind's even still developing in a sense. Like even like I said, I mean, we're doing so much growth over the last couple of years, but it's like what what really attracts you to people? What is that the things that you're really interested in to the core, not just on the surface? Because I actually did um I and speak talk about self-love is like the things that you have to love yourself in order to love somebody else, right? And you have to be able to be in that because I just know so many people that don't love themselves and they're just they're very hard to love and they're very hard giving love, giving and receiving because there's a lot that they don't love about themselves. There's still stuff that I don't love about myself, but I'm working on it. I talk about it. It's stuff that I want to work on. But we have to be self-aware in that, in that self-love as well. But they say to make a list of the things that you want in a partner and a significant other and write it down. And, it's not just like external, like, things about money or a house or a car, or, how they look and their lifestyle, but obviously on the inside, what is the things qualities that you want them to possess on the inside? And they say to write this all down. And it could be, I mean, mine's a whole long page. Like it's a lot. And I add to it too, because I'm like, no compromise. Like it's the things that you're just not willing to compromise on. And it's really serious to write this stuff down. It's just similar to the vision boards, and the goals that we write down. Why are we not writing down like what we want in somebody? And then what they say is when you see all that stuff, become that person because you attract who you are. So
Yeah.
if that's what you want to attract, you need to become that person. So it's
Yeah.
obvious, like even if it's like, oh, I want someone that's loving and kind. Well, okay, you better be loving and kind too, because if they are, they're gonna want you to be,
Yeah.
It's
You
almost
can't.
like a mirror. You're almost gonna be
Yeah.
like a mirror in a sense. So it's really interesting. That's another thing. Like, maybe take this weekend, whether I don't know, I mean, I shouldn't say if you're with somebody, write down the things that you want, because they might not, but maybe the qualities that you do love about that person.
Yeah,
Like
that's
if
what
you
I was
are
gonna say.
in a relationship, like the qualities that you love about your partner. And I mean, obviously we can write that. I think even Mel Robbins said to write down stuff that you don't like about yourself, the qualities that you love about yourself and the qualities that you don't, and then
Yeah, like a
work
self
on
audit.
those. Yeah, and work on those. I mean, it's hard to do that on somebody else, that you're with. But I also think like the reality is a lot of us stayed in relationships that for too long, that weren't right for us. And we just didn't sometimes know why. I think it's even if it's just a relationship audit, I mean, it's sad to say, but sometimes people have a feeling that it's just not right and they need to really think about things, especially if there's kids involved, younger kids. Like it's not healthy for that. So maybe
Yeah.
at this time of love, you evaluate your what you can do better for your significant other, right? And communicate what things that they can do better for you.
Yeah, and I think at the beginning, at the onset of that conversation, I think you need to take that type of conversation with baby steps. I don't think you
Yeah,
go
it's
in
easier to
full.
it's
I
easier to
don't.
say for me. I'm not
I
in
don't
a
feel like
serious
you go in
relationship.
guns ablazing. Like you
Melissa's
need
like,
to.
"Shit, you really think that that's gonna happen?"
Like
And I'm like,
you
"Wake
need
up,
to
girl."
start like yeah. No, I did a
It's easier
very
now to say these things up front when you meet somebody, you
I
know?
did an exercise. It was actually a business related exercise, but I think it's something that you could translate into what we're kind of talking about today. And you hit on the word values, like the values you have, right?
Morals,
And,
values,
and
yeah.
and so a lot of people do not know what their values are, and
Mhm,
I didn't. Like this year, like I
mhm,
never thought about like my values other than like the only value I could ever think about was like I treat everybody the way I would want to be treated, right? Like that's a value of mine, right?
right.
And but I didn't really know anything beyond that point. And so literally what I did is I went on Google and I just typed in like give me a list of values,
Yeah,
right? It was like 100 different values. And
yep,
I just wrote down every single one that resonated with me, right? Didn't matter what it was, it just resonated. So I wrote it down. And then I went through that list again, and then there was obviously some overlap in some of the words, right? So I would cross those out, and then I was left with like 5 or 6 words that I felt were like my values, and then I
mhm.
defined why I think
That's
those
good. It's
values
why,
is
yeah.
why. And I think a lot of people, they ask themselves the initial question, but they don't really dive into that. They don't dive why, right? Like one of the questions, and I know this doesn't have anything to do with love, but like you could implement this into your questioning of like, hey, like why do I want to be in a relationship? Like one
Mhm,
of the questions I ask people, when I'm sitting down with them with what I do is like, well, why is money important to you? People don't. They're like, I don't know. Like, why is money important to me? Oh, it gives me freedom. Well, what's important about freedom,
mhm.
right? So you begin to walk down that path, and you could do that with love, right? Or like,
Oh, with
hey, what,
anything,
like,
even with
why do,
pa
yeah, why do I want to be in this relationship, or why do I want to be in a relationship with somebody? Like,
right, absolutely. I mean, I think what you're looking out of it, like to get to give and get, I think, absolutely, because I think it's the why and the understanding, because I did the values, like those core values, when I did Leadership Harrisburg. We had a whole list of them, and you circle, you highlight like 25, let's just say, and then you circle your top 5, and then you have your top 1. And I think that one of the things that I think mine was honesty, which, and kind of like transparency, but honesty. And it was like, why? Well, because I want someone to be authentic. In your past you have maybe things that weren't, and that you want someone that's honest. But it's also, I think, going back is really knowing who I am, like being honest with myself, and then being honest with somebody else. Because when we're not able to, like, it's not honesty like lie, it's not always like, oh, they've had these lies. It's honesty also about like being honest with yourself, and the things that have happened, and like really deep knowing somebody, you have to be able to be honest with
yeah, yeah.
those things.
Mine was loyalty. That goes back to
Right.
treating people the way you would want to be treated. Like loyalty was my biggest
Yeah.
one, just because I value that. I think I'm a very loyal person, and I want people to be loyal to me. Like if and
Right.
stuff like that. But yeah, I mean,
That was one of my top, I think that was my top 2. Like, I want
yeah,
someone to have my back no matter what. Like, no
yeah.
matter what, you have my back. And yeah, I mean,
And that's I mean that's the biggest thing in the relationship. Like me and Megan call each other a team. Like we're a team,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
We are a team. Like there's no like because there was one point in our relationship where like I was making more money than she was, right? And I never brought that up. It wasn't like a discussion of like, oh, I make the most money, so I tell you what you can buy, right?
Mhm.
And like when I first started my business, right, I wasn't making any money,
Right.
right? And she was, right, and she still is, right? She still does. And so, but it's never been like, oh, well, since I make all the money, I make all the rules. It's like,
Right.
no, that's not how this works. Like we win together, we lose together.
Right.
And
Absolutely, teamwork. Yeah, and I think, that goes down to communication too. I mean, I think, um, absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
I think
um,
also what's interesting, I've felt is like challenging a little bit. I don't know if that's a good word, but like wanting to make each other better. So there's something about also being able to see where people might need a little bit encouragement or help or support, and whether they're afraid to ask, or they just like need a little kick in the butt kind of thing, like tough love, if that's what we want to cover. We're talking about love, a little bit of tough love, because I also think that it's our, I don't want to say like responsibility or duty, but I really think that we should really be wanting to bring out the best version in ourselves. So we want to, like, the right partner brings out the best in you, and like wants you to see your best version as well. So I think
Hmm.
that there's things that, that we want. Sometimes it's hard conversations, like going back to, having, being able to have those hard conversations. But I think there's something about being able to challenge each other to do things that maybe, we're not doing, or,
Yeah, no, it's just there's a lot that goes into any type of relationship, 100%, and it's not one. There's not one silver bullet that's going to fix it. It's work. It's honestly work. Me and Megan been together for like 13 years now, right? Like there's good days, there's bad days. There's days that I don't love her, right?
it's hard. I love you, but I don't like you today.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's like but at the end of the day, like, it's still those core values, right? Going back to those core values, we have these core
yeah,
values for our relationship, and we always come back to those core values. And we always come back to, hey, we're a team. Yes, we had a little spat. Even the best teammates in the world have arguments, have discussions, have
right,
differences of opinion. But at the end of the day, we always say to each other, we're a team. We'll make it happen.
right.
You know, we apologize. And one of the things, real quick, before we jump off here, we're actually reading a devotional together based on the five love languages, and
Oh, nice.
that's one of the topics for this week was, just forgiving, like learning
Right,
how to forgive, like learning how to ask for forgiveness in the right way, not just being like, oh, will you forgive me, right? But like
right.
learning how to ask for forgiveness and then not doing what you did
Right,
before,
because
right?
you have to put your ego aside to do that, and I think that a lot of people don't want to put their ego aside, and it's interesting
Especially
that
when you think you're right.
especially, and I think that it's all about like different perspectives and understanding, um, but yeah, I think that what's interesting, I've learned significantly, is to slow down and just to stop and not react. So I've actually gone back the next day or 2 days later, or like the next time you're with somebody, and say, hey, I was thinking about this. Like, I don't let it stew. I don't like lose sleep over it, but it's something that I know that I want to bring up. But I think that there's ways that we overreact or react in the moment, and when you have those things that you can, like, kind of just take time and think about it. And usually the next morning, you're really not that mad about it or like upset. Kind of think about it. And then I think just, having that communication, that somebody makes you feel safe in those things, that, like when you have those spats, like you said, it's just having somebody that's like, okay, here's why, what is this really about? And let's solve it, and, move forward.
Love it. Love it. Well, anyways, guys, it's towards the end of the show. And so if you're stuck around this long, you know what's coming next.
About love.
About love. It's the millennial meme of the week.
That was good.
So you can
Getting better at
actually
that.
clip
I
that.
will.
So
I clipped it the last time, but this one might be better, yeah.
But if you're joining the show for the very first time, we do a millennial meme of the week, because memes are very millennial. And I have one for us. So it's love is in the air. It's Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, and he's got that
Yes.
look on his face. If you're not watching us live, but it says love is in the air, and it's Sheldon Cooper saying wrong. Nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide are actually in the air.
Yes,
so,
very literal.
so I thought that was a good one
How
for
romantic.
for our Valentine's Day with the millennial. So, but one other thing before we jump off here and let you get, because it's beautiful outside. today. I'm actually going. Me and Megan at around 4:30. We're gonna go to Second Friday in Lidditz. So we're gonna go
Oh, nice.
hang
That
out
sounds fun.
and get some food and just do some local shopping. So, um, but
Nice.
but before we jump off, we're gonna do Mel's moment.
Ooh.
So if you haven't again been here before, this is the opportunity where Mel gets to share with us a piece of advice, something along those lines to take us into the weekend to prepare us for the onslaught of Valentine's Day. So
The
Mel,
onslaught of
take it away.
Billy's worst thing. Actually, it was funny. I think that, because like we talked about the digital age and social media and all that, I think that it would be really nice to plan something together that's unplugged. So no phones, like nothing that's even, maybe I don't want to say commercialized, but something even if I mentioned like a picnic, the wine, like what if you did like out, where you had a picnic for a sunset or a picnic like watching the stars and you could have food and some drinks or whatever and wine, but that you could like be looking up at the stars and like be outside and with nature. So things that you don't have to necessarily maybe spend money on, that you can just connect, like the focus is on connecting and connection. I really think that that should be really important this year. Play some games. I don't know. I was thinking like there's classes, take like a cooking class or, like cook at home together, but like do it together. And like while you're connecting, to really, I think, spend that time without outside distractions. Because that's typically what causes a lot of problems. So, just really be focused and present. And maybe even do some homemade gifts, like coupon books, like, hey, I'm going to do all this for you. If somebody's love language is like, figure out the love language. Okay. And then
It's a free test,
do
guys.
some, yes, it's a free, yeah. And then maybe if they're like, acts of service, like give them a coupon book, like, I'm going to do the laundry. I'm going to do this. I'm going to, do these things for you because they're, it's a cute little coupon book or something, but get creative.
Yeah, I love it. Brandon jumped on. I don't know if you saw this comment. This is the moment, Mel's moment. And then he said,
The moment. Never know
he
what's
said,
gonna come out. Might
love.
be
He said,
a
love
little
it.
cuckoo.
Disconnect to reconnect. I love it.
There you go. Disconnect to reconnect. Yep.
But anyways, guys, we hopefully you enjoyed today's show about love and all the things that are great about Valentine's Day. I'm
As
saying that
Billy says this.
sarcastically.
Billy says this with a smirk.
Yes, but we appreciate everybody that jumped on, commented like this. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you check us out next week for another episode of Millennial.
To see if Mel has a Valentine.
We actually have two guests. It's going to
Ooh.
be the first time we've had a four boxes on this
Yes.
show. Maybe four
And
boxes, maybe, but I
maybe
don't want to give
one
it away. I
together.
don't want to give it away.
Yes.
It might be four boxes. I don't know, but
Oh, okay.
but it's gonna. It's I'll tease it. This one of them has been on the show before,
Yes.
so
I'm
we're
excited.
super excited to have them on. So, but no more. We're not teasing anymore. So, but hopefully you guys have a great weekend. Go show some love to somebody, as
Yes.
many people as you can, and just make this world a better place. But we'll see you next
Absolutely.
Friday, 2 o'clock. We'll see you guys then. Have a good one.
Bye. We love
Have a
you.
have a good have a great Valentine's Day.